What's up everyone, welcome back. Today we're playing Thassa Deep Dwelling in Historic Brawl. Thassa is a mono blue commander, 4 mana, 6/5, legendary enchantment creature god. This is from the Theros cycle of indestructible enchantment god creatures. So this actually enters the battlefield as an enchantment, an indestructible enchantment. But if our devotion to blue is 5 or greater, then Thassa becomes an indestructible 6/5 creature. If you've never played with this card, it'll become pretty evident when we cast it, but it basically just starts out as an enchantment, but the text we're about to read still applies. So at the beginning of your end step, exile up to one other target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under your control. So essentially we get to flicker a creature of ours at the end of each of our turns, and then for 4 mana we can tap another target creature, which does sometimes come up, especially because we're in mono blue, so we don't have a lot of ways of removing things. So the main clause we care about here is the flicker clause. So the whole deck is designed around enter the battlefield triggers, such as what's a good example? Well, I mean, Faceless Agent, it's right there. Enters the battlefield, seek a creature card of the most prevalent creature type. I don't even know what the most prevalent creature type is, but essentially we get a free creature into our hand from our deck. So if this is on the battlefield at the end of our turn, we get to bounce this and get that effect every single turn if we want. So that's essentially drawing a card every single turn. Here's another one. Enters the battlefield, return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. This can be really frustrating for our opponents. So at the end of each of our turn, imagine they play a creature, even if it's a good creature. Usually they don't have haste, right? Unless you're playing against red. So they come in, they have summoning sickness. We play this, bounce it to their hand. Then we get to flicker this, bounce another creature back to their hand. Their next turn is spent recasting the same stuff. Then we bounce it back to their hand on our turn. So we can basically kind of lock them out of the game with effects like that. There's a bunch of typical blue spells that you would find in here as far as ETBs. And as you're probably seeing me go through, there's a lot of draw effects, counter spells, mono blue stuff. But here's another ETB. Cavalier of Gales into the battlefield. You essentially brainstorm, and then if it dies, you shuffle it into its owner library and scry 2. Solemn Simulacrum, we can get a land we can ramp every single turn if we want. Turn target instant or sorcery card from our graveyard to our hand, so we can return counter spells or Cyclonic Rift or anything like that. Sublime Epiphany. Icebreaker Kraken. When Icebreaker Kraken enters the battlefield, artifacts and creatures target opponent controls don't untap during that player's next untap step. So imagine our opponent attacks in with all their creatures. We play Icebreaker Kraken and essentially lock down their creatures indefinitely until they can remove Icebreaker Kraken. Anyway, there's a bunch of ETB effects. I won't go through every single one, but the deck is half creatures with ETBs, half controlling mono blue stuff like counter spells and things like that. So the thing that makes this deck work is that Thassa is an indestructible enchantment. There aren't a lot of cards that people are packing into their decks that can remove this. People will usually have the typical removal like destroy target non-land permanent, or even destroy target artifact or enchantment, but those don't work against Thassa. You have to have a way to exile it or bounce it or something like that. Otherwise it just permanently stays on the battlefield. And maybe like a farewell or something like that, a way to like exile. Now if it turns into a creature, it becomes a little bit more vulnerable, but in the beginning of the game when we're trying to get all of our value, it stays as an enchantment. So let's try to see if we can get some wins with this deck. I have no idea what kind of decks this will be paired against. I'm not sure what Wizards thinks this power level is in Historic Brawl. Which, by the way, is now called Brawl. It's not called Historic Brawl anymore. It's called Brawl. And then 60-card Brawl is called Standard Brawl. I don't know why they made that change. It seemed kind of random, but... we're against Sorin. I think this is the 6-mana Sorin. Am I right about that? No, this is the 3-mana Sorin. Target creature controls gain Death Touch and Lifelink until end of turn. If it's a vampire, put a plus. You may sacrifice a vampire. When you do, it deals 3 damage to any target. You gain 3 life. You may put a vampire. Okay, so vampire tribal, mono black vampire tribal. Okay, which is good. I mean, this seems like a fun deck, but it's not a top tier deck. So we'll be going against like mid-range decks, not mid-range the style. I mean like mid-tier. That's what I mean. So is this hand good against that? We have a ramp piece. Yeah, I think it's good. Would like this to be a creature counter spell, but you never know, it might still hit. We get to go first as well, so we'll keep. Yep. We'll just ramp here. I mean, I don't think that we're gonna want to negate anything. I mean, that could have been a good target. Mono black has almost no way to get rid of enchantments. However, they do have sacrifice enchantment stuff like I can't think of the name of it. I can think of the art. The 5-mana one that's makes you sacrifice stuff. Sacrifice gets around indestructible, but I think we just play Thassa and hope for the best. Again, they don't... Mono black doesn't have a lot of it, and I'm not sure this is the kind of deck that's going to run any of that stuff. If they just have Feed the Swarm, that doesn't work. Oh my god, they have it. These are the exact kind of effects I was talking about. But that's probably it. That's probably all they have in their deck, so... It's all good. We got it out of their hand. We can make a 3/2 or some 2/2s. I think we do this because they'll have flying. And if they get to play... If they play their commander, we want to be able to attack it. Yeah, okay. They're gonna use a Languish on that. That's fine. Yeah, okay, we'll just make more creatures. Decline. Really would like to draw land. Oh, big Sorens. They're gonna make a vampire, I'm assuming.
My will.
He has lifelink, but not death touch.
You can deal with my servant.
Oh, we could wreck them here with that. Yeah. So they don't get it back into their hand, and because it's a token, and we just tack down their Sorin.
We're all doomed.
Okay.
Defeating you will not bring pleasure.
They're gonna -3, 4. What is this? Okay, we could just return that to their hand. And then attack down their Planeswalker.
My heart is too hollow.
They have not been making land drops either, which has been good. So we're both stuck. We're both stuck with 3 lands and a mana rock, but we're making the most of it. Nothing, huh? Okay. We can counter their next spell. And play Brazen Borrower. Children's Edict. Okay. I don't really care about this. It's fine. Yep, good disdainful stroke. Probably should have used negate there actually, but it's all good. We could time warp, try to hit another land. Oops. Miscast. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we still just pass because we have a bunch of options. We could play, if we had one more land, we could play something. But I think we're somewhere between Brazen Borrower, negate. Let's negate it. We're not gonna have a ton of negate targets moving forward. Pass. See, this allows us to play our Brazen Borrower. Okay. Is this an instant? It is. Okay. Miscast. Counter-target instant or sorcery spell. If we play this, we have to draw a land. But we gotta draw a land, right? Like, okay, we do. Technically. Creature or planeswalker, that's really good. Let's get rid of commit and miscast. It's a land, that's what we wanted, so we just didn't get an untapped land, which is a bummer. So they don't know it, but they have free reign to do whatever they want here. They're gonna replay their guy. They're probably gonna put that same vampire back onto the battlefield. Yeah. Pass. Oh, that's a great card. So we have 1, 2, 3. We can play this. Put that back in their hand and scoop it up. Yeah, I probably would too. That was a lot more dominating than I thought it would be. Alright. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. As I slurp my tea right in your precious ear holes. Sure. We'll do the mastery tree. What do we... I think we're on this black one, right? Veto, and then what? And then this, and then that? Okay. Sure. Alright, well, that was a convincing first win. I'm convinced. You never know with mono blue. Mono blue is a really, I mean, there's like almost no removal. It's kind of like a better version of mono green, if that makes sense. Like, at least you have ways to get rid of stuff or put stuff back in people's hands and draw cards and stuff. But it's still very limited. It's a very narrow play pattern. I don't know what this card does. I'm not familiar with it, but Sultai is a really powerful 3-color deck. Enters the battlefield or attacks, mill 3 cards. Whenever one or more creature cards are put into your graveyard from your library, create zombies. Okay, so are they just gonna like self-mill themselves and make a bunch of zombies? I don't know. They get to go first. This is a land, and it can be untapped, and we have ramp, so we can return something. We can return 2 cards to the battlefield. We can return instant or sorcery. We'll keep because of the ramp. I don't know if this is going to be good against them or not. Yeah, we'll play this first. That was a good draw for that spot. So now we have 4 lands. So we have Thassa. Thassa mana online. I'm sorry, we have 3 lands and a mana rock, but you know what I mean. 4 mana sources. You know what I mean. Huh. Grixis mana. Ooh, that's a good draw. I mean, this is what we came to do. Let's see if they counter it. Nope. They're gonna flash in something. Oh, that's right. I mean, I knew this, but this is my first time seeing the new fetch lands in Historic Brawl. God, I gotta crack all these. That's gonna be what, 10 rare wild cards. But I gotta. That's a major upgrade to any deck. So I gotta crack these. Well, that's where my next 10 wild cards are going. They're tapped out, so why don't we Rhystic Study them? And we'll play this. Tapped. Would you like to play some spells? So far they have not cast any creatures, so we haven't been under any pressure. Would you like to pay the 1? Smart. What does this do? Descending at the beginning of the transform. Okay, gain 2 life. They're gonna play their commander next turn and make a zombie. I think we just get Thassa down and set up. Let's put stops and bluff like we have a counterspell. Make them nervous. Resolve. If you would draw a card, instead look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put 1 into your hand and the rest in your graveyard. Pay 4 life. Gains indestructible. Okay. Well, our deck doesn't have any destroy effects, so that doesn't really affect us. Pass. Did I click decline for Rhystic Study? You have to tell me in the comments if I did that. I think I declined on accident because I don't see a new card unless I moved it. Okay. So let's start putting stuff back in their hand. So this is what I talked about in the intro. You know, we get one of these effects, and then at our end step, we get it again. So we just put their whole board back in their hand. And then we have Into the Royal and Opt, depending on what we want to do. Okay, are they going to pay the 1? Yep. It is battlefield or attacks, mill 3 cards. Wait. Do we want to waste it on the... I don't think we want to waste that. Cards, then return lane card, we get rid of the battle tap. Okay, yeah. Because we're going to get a free bounce from our creature. So let's opt instead. Yeah. Let's do it on your end step for style points. That's how we blue mages do it, right? Jawari Disruption. That could be good against them. We'll keep that. It's also a land if we need it to be. Guardian Idol. Guardian Idol. What does this do? Sorry. This enters the battlefield, return target instant sorcery card. Well, we only have 1. So do we Guardian Idol and hold up Jawari Disruption? Because remember, they have to pay for Rhystic Study, or at least they have been, and so we could get them with that. Let's do it like this. I think we do it like... Yeah. It's technically a land. Let's do it like this. Let's bounce this guy. Let's just start being aggressive. I guess we'll... This is an artifact, so it doesn't matter. We'll just do it like this in case they have a hasty creature. Now Thassa is more vulnerable though, so if they have a bounce spell or a exile target creature or something like that, they can get rid of Thassa here. But thankfully we have enough mana to recast Thassa, so not super worried about that if that ends up being their turn. They're in a predicament though, because it looks like they're a very heavy creature deck based on their commander, and any creature they play is just going to go back to their hand. So they're going to do it like this. They should probably pay the 1. That means it's their whole turn. And this is just going to go back to their hand. Does this have Death Touch? No. They gotta discard some cards here. That probably would have been a good one to keep. But okay. Next. Next. Would you like to block? No. Take 6 to the face. And yeah, I think we just pass. Bounce your tortoise. We have a counter spell for basically anything they play. We also have lethal if they can't put another creature down. Resolve. Let's go to their end step, because remember we have 10 power, and they're at 10 life. So... do they have another creature? Let's let them go to their end step. Into the royal. Kicked. Resolve. If they play a removal spell in response, we can counter it. Or a counter spell, we can counter it. Oh, it's an activated ability. Okay. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. We could... okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We could try to draw... some type of counter that gets rid of that. It doesn't work. Okay. I didn't know if we had a 1 mana counter target activated ability, but it was worth the try. They're tapped out. Now they gotta discard the hand size. Okay. Prowess, huh? So how much mana do we have left over? 3, which is enough for absorb energy. Is that counter target spell? Yeah. Okay. That becomes a land for them. But they're staring down lethal. Exile my graveyard. Okay. Too bad this gets turned off, but it wasn't, I mean, wasn't a ton down there. Into the Royal would have been nice to have back, but I think we're making the right choice here. I don't know if I just thought this in my head or I already said it, so I'm sorry if I already said it, but we also have Guardian Idol next turn if we want. Okay. Resolve. They can tap a land. Whenever you cast a permanent spell using mana, up to one other target permanent you control becomes a copy of that spell until end of turn. So they're going to copy their own land? Okay. I see. because it's until end of turn, so that's going to turn back into a land. So we want to counter this version. Now we are tapped out, but they only have 3 mana to get around this somehow. And we still have commit, which, yep, that looks like game to me. They might, yep, okay. I was gonna say they might have a removal spell, but we can just counter it. GG. So those first 2 games really kind of exemplified how the deck can like lock out the opponent, and it's not even that hard to do. You just, oh my god, voice crack, do. Haven't voice cracked like that since I was like 12 years old. It's not that hard to do. You just have a couple of these creatures that bounce things, and you're able to do it every turn. And I mean, this is another deck that we could probably get away with this. Counterspell's good. 3 lands. It's a good hand. It's a little on the high end of the curve, but we get to go first. So I think this is acceptable. It's really good if we get there mana-wise. Right now we have nothing to blink with Thassa, though. Cavernous Souls. Let's do this so we have Counterspell up. We can Counterspell Azusa, that would really set them back. Druid class. Druid class. They can essentially get the same effect with it. Is it worth countering? It gains them life. I think... What are we doing next turn? Nothing? Yeah, I think we'll allow this. Miscast. That would have been nice this last turn. Okay. Yep. And pass. Thinks we're drawing lands, though. What is this? God? Okay. The life game will be annoying, but we'll get around it. Azusa now costs 5. Yep. Play out. Thassa. We don't have anything to blink, but we do have 5 mana, so we're 1 land off of a couple of these effects. If we get Meteor Golem down, it's GG. We'll just blow up everything. Everything they have, and they're mono green, so there's pretty much nothing they can do about it. Okay. In life, they'll probably just pump Druid class. That would be my guess. Finale for 1? Okay. Interesting choice, opponent. I mean, it doesn't really matter, because green doesn't have counter spells, but we'll just do God. Just because. They can play Azusa and then play multiple land drops. Do we care? We can Into the Royal, kicked. I mean, that's our only play this turn, right? Yeah, plus Miscast. So we can... do it like this, right? do you. Resolve. That's a land too. Pass. Pass. So they can still play Azusa here and get a couple land drops, but we have River's Rebuke online, so we can put all this stuff back into their hand, reset their Druid class. They'll still have lands, but it puts them back. We might even want to wait on River's Rebuke. Okay, see, and this was the other thing too. Draw 3 cards. Oh, that's perfect. Oh no! Oh my god! No, punt. Punt. Okay, but that's okay. It's still... Yeah, it's still fine. We can tap target creature as well. Man, sorry, it's not a video of mine unless I misclick and misplay something super bad. So I was playing too good so far. I had to mess up somehow. We can give them all the mana they want. It doesn't matter because we're just gonna put it all back in their hand. We are getting a bunch of life, but I think we're in it for the long haul. Resolve. Please play a sorcery. Another harmonize. That's an elf. Okay, 6 or greater. Interesting. Resolve. They're gonna be so devastated by this River's Rebuke. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Probably not going to get many more targets for Miscast, so might as well just do it now. We can Sublime Epiphany their Ulamog though, if they do get to cast it. So yeah, I think that's what we do, right? Mind Flare, and then... Oh, we could gain control of it too. Oh. Oh yeah, that's what we do here. Okay. So I don't think they'll have a way. Fingers crossed. Or do we Meteor Golem and blow up 2 things? We could blow up their Llanowar Elves and their Azusa. And then they probably aren't playing... Yeah. Maybe that's the play. Get rid of their Azusa. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if they have... Man, this was probably not the right play. It's a little too risky. If they have a land, then we messed up. Yep, we messed up. Let's see what they go for, though. They're probably going to go for Thassa, which is totally fine. Thassa and Meteor Golem, right? That's what they go for? Yeah, okay. That's totally fine. Because now we can gain control of it. Take action. spell. Probably good recovery. Okay, so they could finale into a 5 mana something to fight Mind Flayer? I can't think of anything. Turn Timber. Okay. Hopefully they don't find a way to get rid of my Mind Flayer. Nope, Scoot Swarm. Which is good. That's good for them. But the River's Rebuke is really gonna... Okay. So what we do first is... Next. Attack. Ulamog. Exile the top 20. Force them, hopefully, to block with something. Next. Okay. Finale. Next turn they could finale something. We should probably just keep this up to counter it, right? Yes. That's the right play. Because they could finale into a way to get rid of Mind Flayer. That's their only real... Oh no, game, don't fail me now. Don't you dare do it. Okay, now we're good. Right? Opponent. Arena's been real spotty the last couple weeks. I really hope they didn't just kick me out. Oh no. Opponent. I hope it's... I can never tell when these things happen if it's me that's disconnected or them. I wish there was an indicator that told you because it looks like it's them that's disconnected and I'm good. Because usually it's my timer that ticks down or it's like stuck. Like this. Okay. Yeah. So, no. What are we doing? We are Control-Alt-Delete. Task Manager. Processes. Arena, where are you? I've gotten very good at this. We go to Arena. Hopefully it gets us right back in the game and we can counter this frickin' finale. I think we have a lot of timeouts though, so at least we should be able to hold. Oh, otherwise we're in a real bad spot. Yeah. Oh. Okay, okay. Oh. Oh. It won't let me. Oh, okay, cool. It just totally fucked me. That's great. The only way that they could get back in the game, Arena decided to disconnect me to allow them back in the game. I see. No problem. No problem. Very cool. They have 10 lands, which means they can recast Ulamog. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have a Displacer Kitten. So we can't even do that. We can remove this from combat. My god, they totally just jacked up our whole thing. I had the instinct to just get out of there as soon as as soon as I saw the timer go down, but man, I think we had like 3 timeouts too. We'll just pass. See what they do. Okay. Oh, good. They have the Great Henge too. So now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we don't want to bounce Ulamog. Uh-huh. Yeah. We want to wait till they don't have enough mana. Resolve all. Resolve. Hopefully they'll try to play their commander too. Give us 1 turn. That's all we need. Yep, I'm sure you feel real good, opponent, because you think you actually had the answer that we couldn't come back from, but we actually had the perfect answer. Arena just kicked us out of the game. Cool. Okay, so this is the sort of opportunity we're waiting for. So we want to choose all of these. Return this to their hand. I'm the target player. I think we still might die here, though. One Ring's pretty good. I think, are we still dead? Yes. I'm not good gaming that bullshit. That was... that was absolute arena caca. Well, I'm gonna take some, I'm gonna take a sip of tea because I'm incredibly salty. Go ahead and subscribe if Arena's ever, made you lose a game because it timed you out. We got a gold. Or rare wild card. This is pretty good. This is a pretty good card. Okay, well, we would have... Well, I don't want to say we would have won the last game, but we would have probably won the last game if we had the ability to counter their finale. We would have kept Ulamog. So, and I'm not trying to be salty when I say this. I legitimately believe that we probably would have won the last game if we hadn't been kicked out of there. So that's 3, I think, convincing wins for this deck. So let's do a little deck tech review. This is a pretty good showing for a mono blue deck. I really didn't expect this kind of domination from this deck, but it's overperformed my expectations. I thought it'd be good, but not this good. Yeah, that's the deck. Some all-star performers. I didn't really think the you know, the I can't find them, but the creatures that bounce other creatures and or like this one bounces planeswalkers back to their hand would be that good. Oh good. Arena's kicking me out of my deck tech now. But they were all stars in this deck. Our opponents like basically couldn't create a board state if we had Thassa down and one of those creatures down, and then we didn't even get to like Cavalier of Gales or Mulldrifter. Mulldrifter is a common, but in this deck it's insane. You draw 2 cards, so every turn you get to draw 2 extra cards. Pretty nutty. But I think this also exemplifies why you shouldn't just build a deck with nothing but ETB creatures, right? Because this only happens on your end step. So there's a lot of blue creatures like they're really great cards like Voracious Great Shark, right? It has an ETB. It's a flash shark. When it enters the battlefield, you get to counter, I think, a artifact or creature spell. Well, while that is a good ETB, it doesn't work with Thassa because this happens at your end step. It's not whenever we want. That would be insane. But you want value at your end step. You want creatures that give you value at your end step, like ramp or card draw, or taking one of your opponent's creatures, right? But counterspell on a creature doesn't really work because that has to be done at instant speed, and this is not an instant speed mechanic. So keep that in mind when you're building the deck. You want value cards, not necessarily timing cards. And that's why we have all these actual timing cards like, these counter spells and Cyclonic Rift and things like that, because this doesn't really allow us to do the mono blue thing. This gives us our value in our draw engine and our value engine. The other cards in the deck give us the ability to compete, because mono blue has no way to really removing anything except for like Raven form, which we can't depend on. I mean, we never drew this card, so we literally can't depend on drawing it. So the only way to combat what our opponents are doing in mono blue is to counter their stuff, which, as you saw, was extremely effective. And Sublime Epiphany, this card is always on the cutting block for me, because it's like, man, it's 6 mana. Is it really worth it? It's always worth it. Put this card in every deck that makes sense. It's so good. And in that last game, we would have been able to counter their Finale of Devastation, put one of their creatures back in their hand, draw a card, create a copy of our Mind Flayer, steal another one of their creatures. I mean, it would have been insane. It would have been insane. That's why I'm particularly salty Arena didn't allow us to do it, but it would have been insane. That's why I'm fairly confident that we would have won that last game, especially with Ulamog on our side. So this is an all-star that you should definitely put in the deck. I mean, it makes sense in a mono blue shell, but even in this deck that's about, flicker ETBs, this has a warm home here. Didn't get to Icebreaker Kraken, was really hoping I would be able to, but we run 22 snow islands and Faceless Haven, which is a snow land. So chances are we're going to get some of this cost reduction from the spell costs 1 less to cast for each snow land you control. So we're going to get, this won't be a 12 mana spell when we cast it. It'll be maybe like a 5 mana spell or something like that. And so we cast it, get the effect, and then continuously get it each turn. Absolutely nuts. I mean, if you think, these effects lock down the opponent, this really locks down the opponent. I mean, they can't do anything, including their artifacts. So it locks down their One Ring and stuff too. So yeah, that's the deck. If you like the video, subscribe. If Arena's ever made you lose a game, subscribe. Like the video, leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Catch you in the next one.